So you go top to top.
You go top to top, and then you kind of press that down, pull off your... And then we'll take the thinner frosting, kind of have to press it together.
Now the thinner, you thin that with water?
I took some of that frosting and thinned it with water, and you put this on, and you just put a thin layer on it to seal in the crumbs, because if you're making a fancy wedding cake, you don't want those crumbs to come out into the other frosting, because it'll make it kind of messy. Just so it'll spread easy. If it's not, doesn't spread easy enough, put a little bit more water in it. Let's see. If it isn't even, you kind of push it around until it is. And sometimes you have to fill in a little more frosting in the middle there. Fill up the gap. Now some of the cake crumbs are getting into the frosting now, so I'm probably making a mess. Just dab it on the top and then just bring it down, pull it down to the sides. And you can use like a spatula or something. It goes on a little smoother, a little easier than a table knife. But we're just doing it this way.
If we decide to continue this cooking show, we may need to get the right utensils to do things.
We're just doing what we got on hand. We're not Amaral or Martha Stewart, but I've seen them make boo-boos too.
I think their filmers are better.
Well, I think they charge a lot for their... Now this is what you call crumbing it, covering up the crumbs. And that, well, it's a little bit crooked, but you can take your hands after it gets set and take saran wrap on and push it around so it's even. So we'll set that over and let it dry before we put another coat of frosting on it.
Okay, on your frosting,
now,
your saran wrap that you have on top of the frosting,
I'll do that.
in the pans, why do you, in your pans? You do that so it doesn't have a crust on the frosting?
Oh, yeah, I see what you mean. In the frosting, after you get it mixed, be sure and cover it with saran wrap, because just lay over there, or a dish towel, because it gets kind of crusty on top, and you don't want it to harden. You want to keep it soft so it's spreadable. Okay, now we'll let that set a while, and then I'll show you about a sheet cake that we've made. Okay, now we'll go back to finishing the frosting of the cake. And first you put some on the top, and work it out to the edges. And this is to cover up that first frosting we put in so the crumbs won't come out into this finished part. Just kind of smooth it around as you go and smooth it down. You can tell I haven't done any of these for quite a while, so kind of messing them up a little bit.
She's doing great.
Now there you can see where the crumbs, where it's covered over the first frosting. Now this is covering over to the second frosting, so it's all white now. It doesn't have that brown crust showing through. Do the top first and then do the sides. Do around till you have it all covered up. And then you take your frosting bag that you put a star tip. I don't know if you can see this or not. It's a star, looks like a star tip for the borders around it. And this is a coupler that you put down in the bag, and then you put your tip on and screw this on like that, and that way you can change the tips without having to take all the frosting out. And you roll your bag up. This is a big long one, so you have to roll it up quite a ways. Squeeze your frosting out.
And that's really important to squeeze the frosting, isn't it? So that you don't have air in it.
Yeah, right. And you may want to just smooth it over a little bit more. But you're going to put decoration on here, so that won't matter if it's not exactly smooth. And if you're not selling it, it doesn't really matter so much for your own family because they don't care. And let's see, we'll start here so you can see. Like just called shells. And you just go around the edge with that. Some people call them clouds, and one guy in McQuan, when his mother ordered wedding cake, she said, "Be sure she puts lots of clouds on." If you use a bigger tube, then they'd be a little bit bigger, so.
So you apply pressure and then let off?
Yeah, you push, you get a little bunch like that, and then you pull it down, and that way it shuts it off then. I don't know how many birthday cakes I've made. Made lots of them with different shape pans, and they're kind of fun, like Raggedy Ann and Winnie the Pooh, and we had a t-shirt pan and all kinds of different things like that. And then you can use the t-shirt pan for like a jersey for a basketball player or something, and put the colors and the number and things on it. That's kind of nice. Then you go around the bottom, and I generally use a bigger tip than this. Fill in around the bottom. And if you have a bigger tip, it goes faster and it really looks better. But this is what we have here, so we'll use it. And this turntable, Dawn made me, and it really makes it nice because otherwise you have to take your hands and try to turn it around, and then that's harder to do. I'm going to have to fill the bag with some more frosting. This is a long bag, so you have to open it up. We're not very professional. Some of this just doesn't turn out just quite right. But you have to bear with us because we'll probably get it done pretty soon. Now I'm getting frosting on my hands, so I'll have to wipe them off. Oh, that was dumb. You fold your hands down and roll it up. Like that. Let's see, when they made a poof because there was air in there. When I put the new frosting in, I should have tried it out again. Get that air out. Of course, there's all kinds of tubes, so you can make all kinds of shapes and stars, and it's kind of fun when you get practicing with it and playing with it. And every cake you do something different. See there, it poofed out some air again. This is better, this is not quite so. Now that's that part of it. It isn't exactly right, but it's a little tippy. Now we'll set that aside and let it dry just a little bit, and we'll work on some of the ways you can decorate it. Let's see, I don't have the sugar. Excuse me, I'll have to get some. One thing I forgot to tell, that like on a wedding cake or some bigger fancy cake, if you want to put scallops around like here, you take in, I think that this would probably take about 6, so you would mark both sides and then maybe 3 places or 2 places on each, like this. Probably not exactly right because, and then this is a top of a little plastic butter dish, and I cut it in 2, and I would make a mark, kind of like this. This we're just kind of guessing, because I don't know. Make a mark around. If they don't come out quite right way, you can just put a little more frosting on it. And you'd use that for a guide. And you can put little little stars or however you want to. That's one way you can do it, or you can just put